You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
I'm Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. Ladies over there, ladies things that makes official. Welcome to 2,600 episodes of the Chris Voss Show. We just clicked over, and 16 years going on 17, bringing you the most latest minds and stories and journeys and things that you can use to lift yourself up and make your life better. We don't put stuff on here that can make your life worse. There's plenty enough of that in the world. So that's why you come to the Chris Voss Show and you refer it to your family, friends, and relatives. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss, youtube.com/Chris Voss, and facebook.com/Chris Voss. Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may be advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind. Today's featured author comes to us from bookstolifemarketing.co.uk. With expert publishing to strategic marketing, they help authors reach their audience and maximize their book's success. Today we have an amazing young lady on the show. We're going to be talking about her book called Both Sides Now, out December 19th, 2021, by Colette. Tracy. We're going to get into some of her insights and experiences there and how she can help make many people's lives better through her advice. Colette M. Tracy is an MBA, PhD. She's an author, educator, and consultant whose work focuses on helping women, aging, and self-image through cultural and international lenses. She is passionate about helping individuals and organizations embrace change, purpose, and empowerment at every stage of life. Welcome to the show, Colette. How are you?
Oh, thank you, Chris. Happy to be here. I'm very good.
Happy to have you as well. Give us your .coms. Where can people find you on the interwebs or any socials, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, www.colettetracy.com. And that's down at the moment, but it's going to be up and running very soon. I'm also on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, and just starting to get on TikTok.
Get on that TikTok where all the kids are.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a 30,000 overview. What's inside your book, Both Sides Now?
Well, it's really a book about women coming upon midlife, anywhere, I would say, over 40, 45, all the way on up. And, today in the U.S., we talk, we're in midlife till we're like 85 or so. But it does resonate with a lot of women. And what it's about is really how your life starts to change at this time. And, men feel it too. It's in, a different way. But for women, you start to feel less visible. Sometimes you start to, your kids, if you have them, maybe leaving home, leaving the nest. If you're in a relationship, maybe it's a long-term relationship, and you might feel out of sync after all of those years of parenting. And then, your parents start to age and get sick, friends start to get sick and pass away. So it is a really time for awakening. And historically, it's really been thought of. And the reason I wrote the book was because I didn't really find too many positive books on aging, and a lot of the books that were out there were informative, but really didn't give women the idea. So the book is really around the culture of baby boomers, Gen X, even some millennials, and how that shaped the way we think about our lives in the world, and how these shifts at midlife can be especially hard for women of that era because of, so many times we're thought of as, for women in media, especially, to be young and, I'm not traditionally attractive anymore. It's a different kind of thing. But there's also a lot of joy. There's a lot of joy and confidence, wisdom, if you will, that comes at that time that we tend to overlook. The whole thing is about finding purpose, whatever that purpose is for you, and what brings you joy on a regular basis.
What brings you joy? I remember a friend told me when I was very young and in my, I think, early 30s, he was much older than I, and he goes, Chris, there's two phases of your life. There's a phase of your life where you're going to go to a lot of weddings, and there's a phase of your life where you're going to go to a lot of funerals. And you'll know when you cross over to the other phase. And it's really interesting. I'm in my 50s and watching friends disappear. And they're only in their 50s too, especially men. We tend to die off twice as much in our 50s as we die almost twice as much throughout our lives, but in our 50s we really start accelerating. And so, women, as you mentioned, they go through their changes too. There's premenopause, menopause. They go through some really big changes. We go through, reduced testosterone. A couple years ago, I had to start having testosterone therapy. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun getting old.
Well, that is called andropause. It's called andropause. Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Now, is that for men and women, or just men, or?
It's men. Andropause.
Andropause. Okay, I'm learning. This is why I do the show. I learn something new every day. I'm going through andropause. Can I be mean to people and use this as an excuse?
You can, but I don't know what would happen.
All right. I just won't pay my bills. I'll tell everybody I owe money to that I'm going through andropause right now, and I really can't pay those credit card bills right now. But yeah, I see this 7 signs of male menopause, andropause. And, I got to tell you, the, getting testosterone's really helped. We counsel a lot of women on in the dating groups that we have, because I'm single and I have huge dating groups. And, a lot of them are going through menopause, and it's hard to date on both sides with someone in menopause. And I think I'd heard that middle age was like 38. And because I'm guilty of this too. We all kind of think of middle age as like 60 or something, but most men barely live into their 70s.
Well, I think it's part of our culture, U.S. culture. We never want to get old, right? We want to stay solid and rugged, and it doesn't matter, we get to a certain point and then it's just midlife. But yeah, you're right. And sometimes facing that, I had a lot of loss about 10 years ago. Well, my dad died 13 years ago, but then my mom passed, my brother passed. It was really, really rough. And so you tend to think a little bit more about your mortality, about, not only do you miss them so much, but you think more about your mortality at this stage of life too, because, you're the elders. Yeah.
Plus you're seeing, like you saw your family starts to disappear. That's what my friend told me. He goes, there's a time when you're going to in a lot of funerals and you're going to kind of feel like you're this last man standing survivor, if you are, where all your friends disappear and your family disappears, and you're kind of just sitting around going, is it my turn? Is the card coming around now? So what do you find? You work with a lot of women that are going through these changes. What do you find their number one or maybe top 5 or top few issues are that they're struggling most with? What do you usually end up helping most of your clients with?
Well, I think it's really, loneliness, changes in the way they feel about themselves, maybe physically or emotionally. But losses are a lot, I've done a lot of, I'm a coach and I've created workshops around my book, and I've had the good fortune to be able to do quite a few. And it's a tender time, and it doesn't even matter even when the losses happened. They're very fresh, and they're things that, women want to talk about. And I think sometimes loneliness is kind of an epidemic in our culture right now anyway.
Yeah.
So I think that, in the many ways technology has done so well for us, it's kind of brought us to a very isolated feeling. But yeah, I would think, and, just the changes, after those 10 years, my parents were sick, and my brother was sick for a long time. And it's like, and then, they're gone, and you just wake up one day like, how did I get here? But, but I want to speak positively about this time too, because for me, over these last 10 years, I've done more in my life than I ever had really before and ever thought I could. So I think that when we are at this stage, if we have the good fortune to be able to maybe work part-time or do side hustles like the kids do and stuff like that, we can explore a lot of different things that we couldn't when we were younger, and just to entertain some of those ideas that maybe we put away for a long time. It doesn't really have to be necessarily a sad time, although I do see a lot of people struggle at this time. I want to inspire them to have hope that as long as you're alive and you keep yourself healthy, there's always a new day,
Yeah. I remember complaining one time about turning 50, and I do a little bit of drama, and when I tell stories, I try and sometimes overdo it a little bit, and so I did some sort of tongue in cheek. Oh, woe is me! I'm dead. I've hit 50. Life's over. Whatever. I was just being dramatic on Facebook and having some fun, and someone wrote me. And very seriously, just struck me right between the eyes. And they said, Chris, there's a lot of people that had been in this world that would like to have reached 50. So maybe you should just shut up and be grateful, something to that effect. And that hit me pretty hard. And I went, yeah, you know what? I should just dial it back a little bit. I should be happy. And like you say, any day above ground's a good day.
But there are things, honestly, that you can do. Maybe, for those of us that, like I said, have the privilege of being able to do some things outside of having to work really, really every day, really, really hard, like we did in our 20s or 30s. Hopefully we're not necessarily in that situation, because I think part of it is just taking the time to really just sit back and take in life. I sit out, my husband and I, we have a sunroom, we have our coffee in the morning. We sit there and talk and watch the birds. Yeah. When would you do that? When you're in your 20s or 30s, you wouldn't even think of that. So you can take a look at some of those little joys in life and some of the longer ones. I mean, maybe you don't want to make really, really long-term plans, but you can still make plans and then still take one day at a time.
Yeah, take one day at a time. That's just how you kind of have to do it, and take care of your health too. I mean, one of the greatest things I did was give up drinking at 50, started taking the right sort of supplements, started worrying about my gut health, trying to keep, wake up in the morning, get that vitamin D, get that sunshine, get the, what is it, the rhythms. You get the sleep rhythms going, what I mean? I forget what they call them, but it's right on the edge of my tongue too. Sympathetic rhythms. It's the ones where you start your rhythm, where you wake up in the morning, you see the sun, and it starts your cycle to where you'll eventually fall asleep. In a way. Yeah, women. I've seen women really struggle with menopause, and sometimes they're not aware of it. A lot of women I talk to, I don't know if they're just fully not aware of it or they're denial, but I do see a lot of denial about, oh no, it won't be that bad. Oh no, it's not happening to me. And I think it really kind of creeps up on women with perimenopause, from what I've been seeing and reading about. And it's just like for us with testosterone, it's so important that you recognize it early so that you can get balanced out. And I think it's harder for them to balance women chemically, don't they? Because they're very different sometimes in their genetic makeup or their DNA, maybe. But I know from, I don't know, but I know from talking to people that evidently, so I'll put it that way, since I'm not a pro on this, you maybe know more than I do, but evidently it is harder, and it takes a little bit longer for them to balance the chemicals, and and it kind of depends on whether a woman still has her sometimes they pull stuff out and all that good stuff for the things, but it has a big impact on them. I mean, I've been around women who are having hot flashes and stuff like that, and it doesn't seem like a fun thing to experience.
No, it isn't, and then the other changes that come along, at this stage of life make it really hard too, but it can play a factor, from what I've researched from my book, on depression and, anxiety. There can be a lot of anxiety with it too. So actually, when you look at menopause for women, it's very, very similar to puberty, right? And when you look at this way, with this change, this is going to be your permanent change. It's like you're going to go through menopause, but you're never going to be out. You can be post-menopausal, but you'll still be lacking those hormones. So like you say, you have to supplement, exercise helps and such. And of course, taking care of your health. And a lot of times women have issues that, they're with their heart or something. Last year, I had a heart murmur, a bunch of valve prolapse since I was 20. And, I didn't have any, I had some problems with like chest pains or palpitations or whatever. But last year I was very, very, very fatigued. I mean, like falling over kind of fatigue. Like I usually have a lot of energy, and I had to get a stent put in my heart. There was a blockage, a 95% blockage. So, and I'm a person who always do, go. I would say, like, in my diet, I neglected myself. I think it was more of a genetic thing. But, you have to be really good. And I got my first colonoscopy. I'm well past the age where I should have got it. I was so afraid because of my family. I know a lot of guys say the same thing, but my family history, I was worried about it. But I got it done last Friday, and thank goodness it all came out. But that's another thing I would tell women and men. You want to take care of yourself like you never have before. If you never have, you want to start doing that because you'll need it, and those kinds of things are like wake-up calls for you. Yeah.
I wish I'd taken better care of myself when I was younger, and I guess everyone says that, but I wish I had. I've been very lucky with my health, and knock on wood, and I hope it stays that way. But, you never know. I mean, you just never know. And but still, I mean, recently I just had to go in for hernia surgery and starting to navigate doctors for the very first time in hospitals and stuff. I've never really had to deal with them most all of my life. And boy, what a pain in the ass that whole thing is. We've had a lot of doctors on the show. In fact, we just had one yesterday. We talked about how bad the healthcare system has become. But that aside, I mean, taking good care of yourself. I mean, I quit drinking during COVID when I turned about, I think I was 50 or 52. And that was one of the best things I ever did. And I didn't have a drinking problem, but it just reached the point where 3 beers and you'd have a hangover, like you drink half a bottle of vodka. Your body's just like, we're not doing this with you anymore. You partied for 20 years and you had your good time, but we're not on board anymore. So if you want to drink, we're going to make you have 3 days of hell, pain, bloating, water gain. I mean, it was just getting out of hand, where I put on so much water weight when I would drink. My body was overcompensating. And it just wasn't fun anymore. You're just like, okay, so 2 hours of fun drinking and partying with friends on Fridays is going to burn into Monday and Tuesday where I'm dragging ass trying to get energy up and lift the plane. I can't lift the plane. And then, giving up the heroin, the cocaine, and the crack smoking too, that helped. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that, folks.
I figured you were kidding.
Yeah. So now on your a couple questions I had for you. You also talk about a positive self-image and self-love being difficult for women, particularly the baby boom and Gen X women. I know self-image is real important in valuation and social status for women because, well, that's their value. And a lot of that's internalized. So talk to us about some of those issues that women experience in their midlife.
Yeah. And I say especially for baby boomer and Gen X women, but it's not any different for millennials or Gen Z now because there's social media. But for our generation, the whole thing was you had to be and do everything. Okay. You had to be, the perfect wife, the perfect mother, the perfect daughter-in-law, whatever. And your physical appearance had to be tip-top. You had to be able to do everything. If you think of some of those commercials, like I can bring home the bacon, fry it up in a pan, and never let you forget you're a man. All those kinds of things. I can still remember that jingle and how many years ago was that. So it's like there was this great big push because feminism had just really gotten started in the 60s, right? And so there was this great big push in the 70s and 80s for women to be it all, have it all, do it all, and, look like they were never breaking a sweat. And if you look at from a physical perspective, very difficult because, in our age group, thin, very, very skinny, thin was a big deal. And, the weight, as you get older and, it's a little easier now because the average weight of women is it's higher than it was back then. But, if you felt like you were, not looking sexy anymore, or you're not, you're not being considered attractive, you feel invisible. It's not so much like you want all the attention. It's just that you feel like, wow, now I'm invisible.
Yeah.
And a lot of people feel that way. So self-love is very important, and self-care. And, you hear a lot of the young people talking about that on social media. It's a very big deal. But I think that's one thing that's really good. Again, for my generation, that was not something that was really encouraged for women. Don't be too full of yourself, or, you can't love yourself. You're supposed to love other people. And so I think it's really hard, and that's very ingrained in a lot of women and men, but I'm just saying that it's very ingrained that, you should not love yourself. But the whole point of the matter is, if you don't give that to yourself, you can't count on other people to. It's great if you get that validation. But what we don't really understand is that if it comes from within, it's better, because then you don't have to rely on someone else to tell you. You can be telling yourself. But it's unnatural for a lot of women, of, Gen X or baby boom and millennials and such. Millennials probably a little different, but
Yeah, you should love yourself and take care of yourself, and you have to come first. I mean, we've had a lot of caretakers on the show, and a lot of caretakers are female and mothers and stuff. And you have to put the oxygen mask on first before you help other people. And mothers, the great thing about mothers is they give so much of themselves, but sometimes they can grind themselves down. I've watched my mom do it, and there has to be that self-care. There has to be that time for them, to heal and do have their own sort of mind space as another, where kids aren't screaming mom 500 times.
And you know what though, Chris, a lot of times at this stage, right, maybe 45, 50, beyond, this is the time they have that time for themselves, and they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
They never put that emphasis on themselves.
I don't know, in the dating markets that we have, I see a lot of women who are raising kids still in the families. Because of the push of feminism, a lot of women are having families later in life. And I've been just shocked at how many, I know women that are 52 and they've got 4 kids that are what I call half-cooked families. They're under 10, and they're single in the market too. And you're just like, wow. And there's a dearth of them. It really has become a thing. I thought, I've been single all my life, and I thought when I hit about 40, 50, there would be all these single women that would be out there in the marketplace, because they shipped their family out. They spent the first 20 years, and back when I started dating in my 20s, women were having kids in their 20s and doing all that. But it's really become a thing, and there's so many women now that have half-cooked families in their late 40s, their 50s. It's pretty interesting, and I sit and I look at it, and I'm just like, some of these women, they're going to be in the high school line. I don't know, with their kids are going to be carrying them through high school or something. I don't know. But yeah, it's kind of interesting, and I can't imagine what they're going through with what we've talked about with some of these issues of aging and raising kids at the same time, not getting sleep and all that.
Yeah. Well, especially if you're single.
Yeah.
And even if you're not, you tend to, your energy is not what it was when you were 30.
I remember my friend, he was 35, I think, when he had his first kid, and he didn't have a kid, he had twins.
Oh, wow.
And I remember he said to me, he looked at me one time. I stayed over at his house because he was out of state, and I came to visit him. And he goes, Chris, I remember he just looked at me with this I don't know, this soulless look. And he goes, Chris, I know why people have kids in their youth, in their 20s now, because I don't have the energy for this shit. And he was only 35.
Wow.
So yeah. I'm 57 and I don't have the energy for children.
Well, maybe grandkids, on a part-time basis.
Yeah, I mean, if you had them, I didn't start with kids, so I don't have any grandkids. I'm thinking about renting some adopting some children. I need one child who cleans the house, and another child who will play all my raids on my video games, all the hard stuff. And I need another child who's a cook, and then I need another child who's, I forget what the other thing is that I need. I don't know, just washes the car and does the lawn work and shit. So I need my own little slave team, basically, my workforce. But the CPA says that's not how it works. So whatever. No. So how do you work with coaching people? Are there packages you have? I think you mentioned you have a workshop. Let's flesh some of that out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do workshops, and after or during COVID, before my book even came out, I created a course, and I taught it across the country with a lot of, they're called Ali Asher Lifelong Learning Institutes, and they have about, I think it's 120 colleges nationally. I didn't teach all 120, but I did teach around 17 or 18 of them, and that was wonderful. So, I mean, my price ranges, I'm open to what people, it's negotiable, let's put it that way. But yeah, I mean, I've done that, and I've worked as a coach one-on-one. And so,
and you help people go through these changes, help them, imagine, just like anything, the mental game is the big part of it, right?
It is, it really, really is. I think that, I think sometimes women have things that they want to do still, at this stage of life. And as I say, it doesn't have to be, creating a multi-million-dollar business or something. Yeah. And I think it's really helping them find the courage to find it within themselves to take those steps. Mm-hmm. I'm not here to convince them per se. It's really got to come from within. So it is a mindset, and it really has to come from within. And you have to meet the person where they're at and try to work with from there, and try to help them find ways to figure out what they want and then to go after it.
Oh, well, it's really important. And then on your next book you have coming out, I think we touched on that a little bit, didn't it? Didn't we? Was there anything more you wanted to tease out on that book?
It's going to be a book more for my students and more for younger people, but it's really can apply to anyone that really wants to make a transition and really get out there again, or getting out there for the first time. It's really just some practical advice and steps to take, and some of my own experience and what I've been through and what I've learned along the way. So yeah, it's going to be about that.
It's been wonderful to have you on the show, and definitely, I counsel a lot of women that are in my dating group. If you start, feeling chemically off, go get help. Same thing with men. Testosterone. One of the weird things we have in our society right now is these incredible amounts of estrogenics. So we have different parabens and all sorts of chemicals that are in our shampoos, our cleaners, lavender candles, are highly toxic. There's all this crap that we have. In fact, it's so bad, the estrogenetics that are in our foods, and especially our soaps and cleaners, it's making women have their period at like 9 instead of 12, and it's attacking eating men's testosterone. One of my biggest problems I had when I first started testosterone therapy was my body had just been an estrogen monster, eating all my testosterone all day long. And that's one of the challenges when you're overweight. Your body eats all your testosterone and the estrogen does.
Mhm.
And then you're all funky and you don't have enough muscle to build muscle. So everyone's kind of going through that and experiencing it.
Mhm.
So yeah, the more you can do a dipstick on your body with a good blood test and different things like
Mhm.
that can really help. And then of course the mindset, you're changing your life. Some people are going through empty nest syndrome. I know a lot of women, because they're mothers, they love their kids, or some of the
Mhm.
kids. Maybe not the teenagers so much,
Mhm.
but I joke. But they're going through that empty nest syndrome. That's a change of life, I think, for a lot of women too.
Mhm. Yeah, because they build their lives around their kids and their family. And
Mhm.
not that that's a bad thing. I'm not putting that down in any way. But the problem is then they have themselves and their spouse maybe, like, okay, so what do we do now? And,
Mhm.
sometimes, raising kids is difficult and challenging, and you have to give them everything you've got. And maybe you lose a little that relationship with your spouse. You certainly can lose a relationship with yourself. And a
Mhm.
lot of women don't know where to start at that point.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
So as we go out, give us a final pitch out for people who are up your book and how they can reach out to your services and find out more.
Yeah, well, I would, if you would please reach out on LinkedIn for now, that would be great. I've got a lot of followers on LinkedIn, Colette Tracy, and you can reach me, send me a message. Actually, my email, I don't know if you want to put that on there, but
Sure, if you want, it's up to you.
yeah, do I put it up there?
You can just say it out, and then
Oh,
if you want, we'll put on the website for a link.
okay, wonderful. Thank you. It's Colette, COLETTE Tracy @ATT.net.
So people can reach out, and yeah, it's a lot of changes that happen, and it kind of it's like for me with my testosterone, I didn't really notice it. I just kind of noticed I was slowing down. I was trying to work out. I would notice that I didn't have enough energy, and I'm like, oh, why don't I have enough energy? Yada yada yada. And it slowly catches up to you. And I remember probably for a year or two, I was like, I should go get checked on my my fluids and make sure the testosterone's working and whatever. And I wish I had sooner, because it was life changing for me to go through it. It turns out I was living in a lot of what do they call it, haze, a lot of brain fog
Oh
for
yeah,
lack of,
that's something with menopause too.
yeah, low
Definitely.
testosterone, I guess low
Mhm.
estrogen too. Yeah, the brain fog. I mean, I'd reached a point where I was going to bed every night. I'd wake up in the morning, and I literally would be crawling into bed, and I'd be like, I just woke up and crawled out of this bed 10 minutes ago. Like, what the fuck did I do all day? Like, and there's records of what I do all day, because I do podcasts all day and
Mhm.
work and stuff and emails. But I would just sit there and just go, God, I'm just barely surviving, man. I'm just doing the bait. And there's like 100 things that I wanted to do that were extracurricular, or, hey, I want to work on this project or something. And I just wouldn't have time for it. And I would literally crawl into bed, and I'd be like, I crawled out of this thing 10 minutes ago. Like, what the hell happened today?
Mhm.
And it was that brain fog.
Did the testosterone help that?
Oh boy, did it.
Wow.
So I got they shoot the testosterone in your cheeks, your bottom cheeks, and it takes about 3 days to drift through your system, and about the third day it kind of hits you.
Mhm.
And so I took my thing, and on a Friday, and I woke up on Monday and did my podcast. And usually we do the first one around 11 a.m. Mountain Time. Then we
Mhm.
have 2 or 3 a day. And I remember doing my podcast, and I came out of it, and I'm like, okay, man, well, it's halfway through the week. Thank God it's halfway through the week. And I'm just at Monday on my first show. And
Mhm.
then I look at my phone, and I'm like, why the fuck is it still Monday? Like, what's going on? And then I was like, okay, well, I don't know, that's kind of interesting. And then I went and did my second show, and I came out, and I go, why is it still this Monday and not the weekend? I thought it was Friday. I'm like, it's Friday. I get to go home after this.
Mhm.
And then I'm like, wait, it's not Friday. And so then I went and my dogs wanted to play between the next show. And I went and played with them. And I remember I was looking at my phone, going through TikToks and, just kind of being entertained, pet my dogs, hanging out with them, chilling. And I remember thinking, okay, it's been a half an hour. It's time for the show, my third show of the day. I got to get on. And I look at my phone and it's been 5 minutes. And I think it's been a half an hour. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? And then, so I'm like, well, okay, I'll play with my dogs for a little bit longer. And so then I did that. And then I'm like, okay, now it's been a half an hour. I know it's been a half an hour. So I'm going to get up and do the show. I look at my phone. It's only been 5 minutes. And then I did my third show. And I literally on Monday was upset as to why it was not the next Monday. I'm like, what is going on? And I had like a week brain fog. Can you believe that?
Wow.
A week.
Wow. Yeah, that's tough.
And it was great to be on testosterone after that, because I would just sit here and I like, okay, well, let's do some stuff that I wanted to get done. Okay, that's done. How long has that been? 5 minutes? What? I mean, I could suddenly get stuff done. And I imagine it's the same for women when they get chemically, balanced with menopause and different things like that, or any time in your life, if you're off on your fluids, as I call them. Yeah, especially at adolescence too. I had myself a lot of problems at adolescence. I had depression, and really bad. And so that was partially chemical thing, but partially hormones too. And I had issues with all of that with my cycle and everything. So they're very related. Related. Oh yeah. So thank you very much for coming to the show. We really appreciate it. Thank you. And get your fluids checked, people, and get your brain checked. And it's really easy in that brain fog to lose years, like just lose years. I remember feeling that way for the longest time, and now time just crawls. I like wake up and go, what am I going to do with the whole day? So order up our book, folks, where fine books are sold. It's entitled Both Sides Now, out December 19th, 2021 by Colette, Tracy. Thanks so much for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next time. And that's